Welcome to A Story Before Bedtime. Get yourself comfortable, plump up the cushions, and be ready to listen. Today, it's Peter Rabbit. Hello, I thought I'd read you the tale of Peter Rabbit. Have you heard of it before? Of course, everyone's heard of it before. Can you see Peter on the front? He's lovely, his little blue jacket. Bless him. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. Can you see them? Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. Wonder which one's which. Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, you may go down into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. She's getting them ready to go out, see? And there's Peter. Peter's the one in the blue jacket. He's got a blue coat, hasn't he? Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mr. McGregor. Oh, no. Peter's daddy's been put into a pie. Oh, my goodness. That Mr. McGregor must be pretty mean. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out. And there we see Mum getting ready. She's getting Peter's jacket on, puts his collar up, and she's going to send him out to play. But don't go near Mr. McGregor's garden. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took her basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns, 1 each. Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, they went down the lane together to gather blackberries. Can you see them picking blackberries? They're good bunnies, but Peter, who was very naughty, he ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden. He's such a naughty rabbit. And he squeezed under the gate. What is he doing? First, he ate some lettuces, then some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Look what he's doing. They're not even his. He's not supposed to be in there. Oh no. Well, let's hope Mr. McGregor doesn't come out, because he'd be in big trouble. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. Well, that's his own fault, because he shouldn't have eaten so much, should he? See, looking, he's got tummy ache. That's what happens if you eat too much, especially sweets. But round the end of a cucumber frame, who should he meet? Mr. McGregor. Oh no, look, Mr. McGregor's there. He spied Peter, and Peter has seen him. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages. But he jumped up and he ran after Peter, waving a rake, shouting, "Stop, thief!" Look. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he'd forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes on the cabbages. Look, his little shoe there. Oh no, but he's going to get sore foot. And he lost the other shoe in the potatoes. Look, the little bird found it. Oh no, Mummy's going to be upset as well, isn't she? After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and he went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he'd not unfortunately run into the gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons. It was quite new. Look at him, he's stuck. Oh no, Mr. McGregor's coming. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him, "Please, Peter, exert yourself, sir. Let's get going. Come on, look at the birds. They're trying to help him." Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop on top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Can you see? He left his jacket behind now. Oh my goodness. He rushed to the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it didn't have so much water. Look, he's getting into a watering can. Well, he's lucky to get in there, I think. Splashed in there. Mr. McGregor was quite sure Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, and he looked under each one. Presently, Peter sneezed. Achoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. Look, you can see Peter's ears sticking out of the can. And there's Mr. McGregor, he's looking under the pots. That's where he thinks Peter is, but he's not, is he? Peter sneezed and Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and he tried to put his foot on Peter. He jumped out of the window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter, so he just went back to work. I think he gave up. Look, he nearly got him. Nearly put his foot on Peter. That would have been a horrible thing to do. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he'd not got the least which way to go. Also, he was very damp from sitting in the can. Look, all the water running off in there. Poor Peter, it's freezing. But then Mummy told him, don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden, didn't she? After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and he was looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath it. There's definitely no space there to climb underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth she couldn't answer. She only shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Oh no, look, he's lost. See, he's got a little tear. See the little mouse there? She's got a big pea in her mouth, so she can't talk to him, look. Peter's crying. He's lost. Well, he shouldn't go. If Mummy says don't go, then you shouldn't go. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his watering cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still. But now and then, the tip of her tail twitched as if it was alive on its own. Peter thought it's best to go away without speaking to her. He'd heard about cats from Benjamin Bunny, his cousin. See the cat? Look. See the goldfish? Now, what do you think the cat is going to do? Might be trying to catch some fish, do you think? See how Peter's looking in the background there? See? He thinks, I better not stick around with the cats. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scurried underneath the bushes. Better hide. Who do you think that is with the hoe? Mr. McGregor. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out. He climbed on the wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing his onions. His back was turned toward Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Oh no, look. Peter's in the barrow here. There's Mr. McGregor, and there's the gate. So Peter has to get from here all the way across there without Mr. McGregor seeing him. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow, and he started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some blackberry bushes. Mr. McGregor, he caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter didn't care. He slipped underneath the gate, and he was safe. At last, in his own garden. Oh, in the woods, look. See Mr. McGregor's running. Oh, lucky Peter, lucky Peter. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the birds. Look, that's Peter's jacket and his shoes. So it scares all the birds away, and the birds don't come and peck all the food. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him until he got home to the big fir tree. See, look. I think he feels really bad now. But then he should feel bad, really, shouldn't he? Because he shouldn't have been in there. He was so tired, he flopped down on the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole, and he shut his eyes. His mother was really busy cooking. She wondered what he'd done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I think he's done this before. Oh, that Peter, look. He's got no clothes on, got no shoes on. And Mum's just sitting there wondering, thinking, where's his jacket gone? Where's his shoes? That's another pair of shoes I've got to buy. Another jacket. No wonder she tells him not to go into Miss McGregor's garden. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime, she says. So there she is, making up some special tea, and see Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail watching. And they're thinking, well, I'm glad I didn't go to Mr. McGregor's garden, because it makes you feel sick going in there. Maybe Peter was frightened. But Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for their supper. Look. That's because they were good bunnies. See? See what happens? The end. Do we like that? I liked it. It's Peter Rabbit. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching A Story Before Bedtime. I hope to see you next time. Night night. Sleep well.